Because you know what I've been busy doing? Hunting down these McFarlane Batman Begins figures. This new Batman Begins wave that is a little bit on the frustrating side. Because while we're on the subject of trying to figure out whether or not Maximum Spidey is going to show up in brick and mortar stores like Target, you know what has been showing up at Target? Batman Begins Batman, Demon Batman, Scarecrow, and even that 89 Keaton solo Batman release by McFarlane Toys, which were completely, utterly shadow dropped by McFarlane, seemingly out of nowhere, and potentially intentional to again feed a little bit of that collectability, probably going for the opposite side of the approach that Hasbro does with Marvel Legends, as far as having to be there online, having to be there on the page, hitting that pre-order, whatever. McFarlane then goes on the other end and says, "Get your ass up, pay for that gas, and head to your nearest store and get those steps in," which admittedly does have its healthy benefits as far as getting your steps in. Days after that last McFarlane Toy Show episode, which was episode 2, the one that I will go as far as to say was not the greatest, had its major problems as far as that draft taking on way too much, the reveals not being all that great, personally. Even with one of them going live the same morning as the Maximum Spidey, which was the year 2 Batman set with the extra cape, which, if I'm not mistaken, is actually also still available on Big Bad Toy Store. This guy right here. But that's not what we're here to talk about. What we're here to talk about, however, is that Batman Begins wave, which, since McFarlane again went ahead and released in store, and it was downright frustrating, because a lot of people were just wondering, like, okay, these things were just shown at the episode for the McFarlane Toy Show on the first one back in December. They kind of reiterated and then even showed it at some events like Geek Out recently in Southern California. And so we were thinking, okay, so eventually we're probably going to wake up to a social media post saying pre-orders are going to go live, yada, yada, yada. And then I think it was just a couple of days after that second episode of the McFarlane Toy Show that people then went to Twitter and Facebook and said, "Yo, look what I just found." And it was all 4 stacked up. And once again, to my dismay and frustration and chagrin, they said that they found them at a Southern California Target. They didn't say specifically which town. They didn't say where in Southern California, because a lot of you have to remember that Southern California overall is a really big state. But they did say SoCal. And that was enough for me to be like, the hunt is on. And that first, like, 2 or 3 days, didn't really see much happening. Not much activity. Nothing to really give me an incentive to pursue. That I'm like, maybe I should just wait off and focus on Power Girl, focus on the figures that I have here in my room to cover the reviews on. But then I went to to a Target that I had already gone like a couple days prior. I think it was on Tuesday. Was it either Monday or Tuesday? And I didn't see on the shelf any of the figures, the McFarlane Batman figures. But what I did see that made me go, hold up, this is new, was that 1/6 scale Thor pre-posed figure, aka statue, the comic one, the one where it looks like he's swinging the hammer. And my Spidey sense tingled, because I was over here thinking, that's new. Not only is it new because it's my first time seeing it on the shelf, but I could have sworn this, along with a couple of other of those statues like the Daredevil 1/10 scale, and then the Batman Begins stuff, I think is all part of that same kind of assortment, that same box. And so I got to thinking, and I'm like, I don't want to do this, but I do have the UPC codes because thankfully that first batch of photos that went live from some people finding it in SoCal, thankfully in the comment section, not in the original post, but in the comment section, the original poster, the OP, did post photos of the barcodes. I saved them to my phone. And seeing that Thor statue was enough for me to go, I typically don't like doing this because I've worked in retail. I don't want to be a burden, but it's nagging on me. I'm going to resent myself if I walk out of here without doing this. Waved an employee down, asked him, hey, can you check this barcode? Which apparently the barcode applies to all 4 figures. So whichever one he pulls out from the back could be any. He scans the code. And he's like, let me go to the back and double check. Whenever they say that, okay, I'll wait. He comes back and says, this is all I could find back there. He brought out the 89 Keaton solo release. And I just looked at him dead in the face and said, are you sure this is all you have? And he's like, well, there's 3 others over there, but they're the same one, same as that one. You know, they're the same. And I didn't want to be too much of a bother. And I said, okay, yeah, thank you. And so I walked out with it. 89 Keaton Batman, solo release with the cape extenders. Look out for the review, which has already been filmed. I just have to edit it. Now, as I'm driving away, an idea popped into my head. And I was like, shit. I really wish I could stop overthinking. He said that there were 3 others in the back that were just like that. However, for those of you who hunt, who you've been hunting recently, you've been going to brick and mortar stores, and furthermore, you're of either my age or a little older. I'm 33, gonna be 34 this year. If you're either my age or a little older, and were born either in the late 80s, early 90s, and you walk into a Target, you'll notice that the majority of Target employees, they look a little younger. A little too young, if you ask me. Where they're trying to bring 90s outfits back for some reason. But furthermore, again, this is going to sound a little judgmental, but I looked at this guy and said he fit the optimum criteria to be the kind of guy that's probably either just got out of high school or maybe he's in his early 20s, needed a part-time job, scanned the barcode, went back there, grabbed one of these guys and gave it to me. And the best way I can sum it up, he looked like the type of guy who knows who Batman is. He does. But he doesn't know which Batman is which. So I'm over here thinking, for a while I was happy. I was like, oh, cool, I got 89 Keaton Batman, so now I have to track down the other 3. And then I thought about what he said, that there were 3 others back there that looked just like this guy. But again, he looked like a young kid who's not into Batman, who's not into comics, but has heard of Batman at some point growing up as a kid in Southern California or whatever, but doesn't fully know. And who's to say that the other Batman figures were back there, but to this guy they all look the same. And that thought hit me and I was like, son of a bitch, what are the chances that the other Batman that were back there are the Begins Batman, but he doesn't know the difference? To him, they're all Batman, but he doesn't know what Bale Batman looks like versus Keaton Batman, etc. I'm sorry. He legit looked like he didn't know. And that's when I was like, the hunt needs to continue. So I went to one other Target that same day. It was actually going to be the last Target because at this point I had already gone to like 2 others. And at this Target, I did the same thing. And the employee brings out the red platinum, I guess we're calling it now, the red platinum sticker, Scarecrow of the new Batman Begins. But that's it. And she said that it was the only one that was back there. This was a girl. Again, looked a little young. She said that this was the only thing back there. Who knows? And that was it for, I think, Tuesday. It was then on Wednesday that I decided to... Was it Wednesday? No, I'm sorry. This was Monday. And then it was on and then I think that same Monday, and this was the second target. So then I went to a third target. And then at this third target, they said that they had like 6. But then the guy who scanned the code and went back there said that he couldn't find the 6. And in my head, I'm thinking, how can you misplace 6? And before I could, I said anything or made a commentary or anything like that, which I wasn't going to be rude, because this guy was actually really cool. His name was Richard. I memorized his name off his name tag. He was awesome. He, pulled out the code on the tab and showed the locations, and then went as far as to say, give me the phone number to call that store and to call other stores. And he told me that there's a chance that 6 was on like a truck in the back, and it just hasn't been unloaded. It's been received, but it hasn't been unloaded. And we can't touch that. The overnight crew that come in at like 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning are the ones that do that, because they're like the big guys that are like tearing things apart and then throwing it on the floor. And then the regular employees grab that stuff on the floor and then start putting it up on the pegs and doing this and that. So I was like, okay, cool. But this guy was really cool. Like I said, that's why I for sure wanted to treat him kindly, because he went above and beyond for me. As well as this other woman whose name I didn't get, but I remember her. She was like a middle-aged Middle Eastern woman. She had like an accent, but she did the same thing. She like looked up the code, showed the inventory in different stores in my surrounding area. She, like I said, she was doing the extra stuff of like giving me information, unlike the other, like I said, Gen Z TikTok kids that were just doing the bare minimum. I'm like, thank you. So I called it that day, and then it was on Tuesday, and I remember it was Tuesday because I was, needed to do my quick hunt before going over to my girlfriend's for dinner. I went to, again, these 3 targets one more time, thinking, all right, what's going to happen here? First target, nothing. First target, nothing. They said that, doesn't show anything in the back, even though it says that they have 3. So someone's lying to me. Someone's not doing their job. But the second target, the Batman Begins default. Batman Begins, bail Batman. And along with him, I got a case of water because I'm out of water. 3 down, and now I need to track down the one that is arguably going to be the toughest to track down, which is going to be the gold label Target exclusive Batman. That's going to give it a bit more scarcity, and I'm like, oh my god, this guy's going to be a nightmare to find. But we got the majority. We have at least enough to create some content and cover on the channel and all that. And I was quickly running out of time because my girlfriend was finalizing dinner, and I'm like, all right, I got one more target to sneak in. This is it for all the marvels. Not marvels, marbles. I go to this last target, show her the code. She says, oh, it shows that we have some in the back, but I don't know if we received it. Let me go check. I wait. Getting a little long, and I'm running out of time because I need to go over to my girlfriend's at a certain time before her family. Basically, her living with her family, and when it comes to like dinner, there's that like hierarchy of who eats first type of thing, to where if I don't eat at a certain time, I have to wait for her like parents to eat, and then we can eat at the table because there's only so much space. So time was of the essence. And then finally she walks out, and she's got 3 boxes of the McFarlane boxes. And it was literally, once again, Batman Begins Batman, Scarecrow. And then that third box, I was like, no. I felt like I could just take a dump of relaxation, because that third box that she had in her hand was the Demon Batman. That was it. That was it. Demon Bats from Batman Begins. And this was all enough in terms of pricing. This all amounted, the grand total amounted enough for me to be like, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. Now, with these 3 that she brought out, I technically have duplicates of Scarecrow and Batman Begins because I got them at those other stores by themselves. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these 3 with me right now. I'm going to do one of those like pay in 4 orders where you do like payments. You split up the purchase in like 4 payments so it doesn't hurt all at once. And then the ones that I got by themselves, which is the Batman Begins, and which are in my car actually, still sealed, and the Scarecrow, I'm going to go and return. That way that money can come back. I went, checked out, drove as quickly as I could without being a dick over to my girlfriend's. We had dinner, and the hunt was over, and it was literally that same day as well that I picked up my Power Girl order for the McFarlane Collector's Edition Power Girl. So as of right now, I'm caught up. Now it's just a matter of getting reviews done. But the hunt was successfully completed on Tuesday. I was like, oh. And like I said, the only thing I have yet to do now is actually the opposite. I need to return some figures. I need to return the duplicate Begins Batman and the duplicate Scarecrow. So I'm over here thinking, all right, yeah, that was exhausting, but it bared fruit. It was a cool story to tell that I was waiting to tell on stream. Awesome. And then McFarlane, the mother decides that following Wednesday, the 12th, at 7:01 a.m. to then reveal that pre-orders are gonna go live for the Batman Begins Batman and the Keaton online retailers. Just when I finished my hunt. Okay. I can at least get a jump on the reviews as far as how I like to film them, the B-roll, the editing, the the lighting within the light box, etc. So at least I get that advantage. But I would be lying just a smidge in saying that it didn't sting a little bit to know that the day after I finally completed my hunt, McFarlane then reveals that the Batman Begins figures are going up for pre-order on February 21st. And notice that the terminology that they used in their tweet, as seen on the McFarlane Toy Show, Batman based on the Batman Begins film will be available online to order. They don't say pre-order. They say order because they knew they have done goofed. I don't know. Again, I don't know if there's no confirmation as to whether or not these figures coming out at Target so soon was legit, or if maybe Todd intended it, but he did it kind of like without maybe notifying his team. I don't know. But something was aloof. And again, it says right here, will be available online to order February 21st at select retailers. And again, the lack of pre in front of that order is what tells me they know. They're not dumb. They're not, unbeknownst to the fact that these guys are already out in the wild. And the fact that they termed the tweet like that, it almost kind of fully convinces me that this was intentional to, again, breed a little bit of that collectivity of hunting down these figures. And admittedly, that's not something very frequently found within the toy community these days. So I guess I still want to give McFarlane a little bit of props for keeping that hobby alive. But I also do think that there is a level of communication and transparency that still needs to be done. And frankly, I will say as far as on both companies' parts, as far as both McFarlane and Marvel Legends, there needs to be transparency. With Marvel Legends, it's stemming from the corporate side of things. And then with McFarlane, it's a little bit of stubbornness. A little bit of like, okay, yeah, you want to keep that collectivity in mind, but maybe going on not the McFarlane Toys account, but maybe on your own personal account, because he has his own personal social media accounts on Twitter and on Instagram. Maybe posting a story, not even a full post, but like a story saying, Hey guys, Todd McFarlane here. I was just recently at Target, getting eggs, because I can afford to get eggs at Target because I'm Todd McFarlane. Todd rhymes with God. But when I was kind of going through the toy aisle, I was seeing some things. I was seeing some things that were kind of interesting, and I saw this new Batman figure. It looks like it's based on a movie that's coming out that came out almost exactly 20 years ago. Yeah, celebrating its 20th anniversary, and if anything, maybe you guys should be checking out your targets. Checking out, going down the shelves and scoping this guy out, especially since one of them looks to be a gold label exclusive for Target. You can only find it at the Targets. I feel like Target should be like your Target. If anything, you might be walking out with a bullseye. Some kind of Instagram story, anything like that. Could have gone a long way. That's all we're asking. You don't have to put out like an official trademark statement on the McFarlane Toys official Instagram or Twitter.